Welcome all sports fans, YouTubers, Facebookers, all social media across the nation. Uneducated Network presents Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton. Today we have big news on the NFL, I have my predictions and my pick'ems, and we have our fantasy talk. But before we talk about that, please like, subscribe, comment, and share everything to Uneducated Network, to where you can see my show, Uneducated Sports Talk, and many other shows. Today is Saturday, I believe it's October the 14th, something like that. So it's about to be close to being midnight. So when this gets loaded, it will be the 15th, Sunday morning. So just bear with me. But here are my picks. We're getting ready to go and do that. So let's start off with our Week 6 NFL Pick'ems, the Uneducated Network Pick'ems, or Uneducated Sports Talk. Last week I went 7-7. Yes, I know, a downer, right? This week though, we're looking to go 14-0, man. So let's start off. Well, actually, we can't go 14-0 because if you know my last episode, I discussed the Eagles versus the Panthers that game, and I went with the Panthers, and they lost. Yeah. So I started my week bad, but we're going to go 13-1 now. The Panthers wound up losing to the Eagles 28-23. It was a great matchup. These Thursday night football games have been amazing so far, and I like the fact that it's not just whack divisional games anymore. Now you got good teams from different divisions playing against each other, so I like that. And when there is a division game like the 49ers and the Rams, they're actually good games. So Thursday nights have been kicking butt right now. I'm loving it. So let's go continue with the rest of our Sunday games and our Monday night game. But Bears at Ravens. I have the Ravens. Mitch Trubisky, he looked decent his first game against the Vikings, but I think that this Ravens defense, and now their offense is starting to click now. Ravens defense has always been there, but now their offense is starting to get a little momentum. I think Joe Flacco, he was the first 4 weeks of the season kind of just like, a kid riding a bicycle. Well, now let's say the train was off again. Go ahead and start throwing it. So he's been slinging that football pretty much deep lately. So I like the Ravens winning this one pretty easily against the Bears. Packers at the Vikings. Now, this is our Uneducated Sports Talk upset of the week. I have the Minnesota Vikings beating the Green Bay Packers. Look, it's in Minnesota. Minnesota has that great defense as it is. I think somehow Case Keenum and gang keeps them in it. I think, yes, Stephon Diggs is out, but I believe Adam Thielen has a big game. And I believe, they find a way to win this game, somewhat a 20-17, 23-20 kind of game. I see Aaron Rodgers not struggling per se, but I see the team around him struggling. The run game, they'll shut it down, and I believe that they'll force Aaron Rodgers to pass and put him in bad situations. So that is our upset of the week, the Minnesota Vikings against the Green Bay Packers. Now, with 49ers to the Redskins, I had the Redskins winning that. I think that Kirk Cousins have finally found out what they really want to do now, and it should be just throw the ball, to be honest with you. Chris Thompson, I like him out of the backfield. I do not know why they went with Sam Perrine, the guy from Oklahoma. Don't know why they went with him last game against the Chiefs, but after the bye week, I think the Redskins are ready to start balling again against the 49ers, and that still is winning this right now. So, Lions at Saints. I'm going with the Saints for that one. Let's go with my New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints pull it out. Yes, they're 2-2, but out the bye week now. The big news, they let go of Adrian Peterson, so Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara get more touches. Drew Brees gets a healthy Willie Snead back for the first time this season, which is going to help their offense. It's not going to hurt it. It's going to help their offense because they need that number 2 guy behind Michael Thomas. And I think that the Lions, for some reason, have lost their mojo a little bit over the last 2 weeks. Usually Matt Stafford wins those 4-quarter games. He's had back-to-back chances to win 4 quarters and hasn't come up, so maybe the mystique of his is coming back down to reality. Well, they go into hostile territory in New Orleans. I think the Saints get it done. Also, Dolphins at the Falcons. I think the Falcons win this, but I think it'll be a lot closer than what you think. And, it's tough because I don't know what this Falcons team is. Julio is coming back, but I think this week he'll be a decoy. We'll talk more about that in just a moment with our fantasy. Browns at the Texans. Had the Texans winning that. I have them destroying Cleveland. Houston, regardless of how their defense is, they were kind of shell-shocked last week against Kansas City when J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless both went down pretty much back-to-back. They were shell-shocked, and Kansas City put it on them. Well, now you have the opposite of Kansas City, have the Cleveland Browns, and I think the Texans take care of business. They're going to score points. The way Deshaun Watson took it up with guys, they're going to score points. I think they demolish the Cleveland Browns. Also, I have Patriots at the Jets. I almost thought about this. Well, I did think about this, very long. I thought about it very hard. and I came to the conclusion that the Patriots will beat the Jets, but barely. They're going to ink out a victory. I'm calling it like a 17-16 kind of game. I think the Patriots struggle, but still find a way to win this game against a Jets team that plays pretty good defense, but their offense, when you're talking about their offense versus the Patriots' offense, Patriots have just enough to score to win this game against the Jets. So I see them winning that. I have the Patriots beating the Jets. Buccaneers at Cardinals. I have the Cardinals actually coming out with this. The Bucs are Jekyll and Hyde. They play pretty good at home, but they're a little different team on the road. I think this Arizona Cardinals team with Adrian Peterson, they have something to prove now. They're saying that we're going out guns blazing. So for some reason, the Cardinals offense has been struggling, but their defense has been struggling as well. And they've been getting up big play after big play with the secondary, which you thought with Tyrann Mathieu and Patrick Peterson, that they would come out and actually have a decent secondary. It's not going their way so far this year. I think they turned around against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get a victory. Rams and the Jaguars, this is probably my toughest game to pick. Both teams are playing stellar as well. Jaguars have an identity that I love. Run, and more running. I love that identity for an up-and-coming team. That's what they want to be. But they play great defense as well. We saw against Steelers, they had 5 interceptions. So I'm looking at this one like, okay, well, let's see. The Rams, this is going to be another big test for them because the Seahawks, only allowed 10 points and they're at home. How that emotional loss carry into the Jaguars game. I think the Rams still find a way to get it done. Low scoring game, more like a 19-17 weird kind of game like that. I believe that the Rams squeak out a victory in Jacksonville. Also, Chargers at the Raiders. I have the Raiders winning this with or without Derek Carr. Now I know he is starting this week, but I had them winning without Derek Carr. I think the Chargers are going to find a way to lose this game. Look, the Raiders with E.J. Manuel, it just started off bad. They gave up their first touchdown in the first drive of the game, and then backdoor had a fumble 2 plays later, which is a scoop and 6 points for the defense of the Ravens. All of a sudden, you're down 14, nothing like that. When you didn't want to be there, that takes the run out already. It kind of makes you easier to diagnose. And the Ravens, once they get a beat on you on that defense, they're coming and they're humming. So I think things will be different against the Chargers. And the Chargers, they always find ways to lose games anyway. Yes, they finally got the first victory against the Giants, but they're both 0-4. Somebody had to win. But I'm going with the Raiders in that one. Steelers at the Chiefs, the prime time, afternoon prime time game, the 3 o'clock game, let's say that. Pittsburgh goes into Kansas City, and I think Pittsburgh is a wounded animal right now, and this is the wrong team to play. Yes, some people are saying, well, maybe that's what the Chiefs are thinking the same thing. Nah, I think the Chiefs are going to go out there and eat these guys alive. They are ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the Chiefs actually dominate this game. Not necessarily getting 5 interceptions like the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that they'll just physically dominate them offensively and defensively. So I have Kansas City winning this. And it's already a tough stadium to be a part of your Pittsburgh regardless. So now they're going to a hot Kansas City team who is balling out. Smith is on no whole nother level. Kareem Hunt. I didn't look into Travis Kelce's whereabouts, or not whereabouts, but if he's going to play or not. But I think that would not matter. We'll talk more about the Kansas City offense in just a minute. And then for the Sunday night football game, Giants at the Broncos, I think 100% of America is picking the Broncos unless you're die-hard Giants fans that would never say no. Giants are 0-5 against a 3-1 Denver Broncos team that is off of a bye week, playing at home, Sunday night football, probably one of the best defenses in the game. The Giants lost, they already lost Brandon Marshall, Odell Beckham Jr. They are stuck, they don't know what they want to do. Eli's in a rough position. The head coach is in a rough position as well. The Giants are a mess. I think Denver exploits them. It won't be a high scoring game. I think Denver puts out like 20, but I'm saying like 20-10 kind of game, something like that. I had the Broncos winning that pretty easily. And then our Monday night game, Colts at the Titans. This is one of those games, if it was in Indianapolis, I would go with the Colts, but it's in Tennessee, so I'm rocking with the Titans in this one. Marcus Mariota, I believe, is coming back to play the Monday night game. He is still a day-to-day kind of situation, but I think he does play, and they have just enough oomph to win the game. And I'm going with think it'll be like a 23-20 kind of game, something like that. But I have Tennessee winning that game, Monday Night Football. But I believe it will be a good game. So to recap it off, I had the Panthers over the Eagles. Eagles won that. My bad, you guys. Ravens over the Bears. Vikings over the Packers in our upset game of the week. Bears and the Ravens are considered our boo-boo game of the week because we just don't want to see that. Redskins over the 49ers. Saints over the Lions. Falcons over the Dolphins. Texans over the Browns. We have the Patriots over the Jets. Cardinals over the Buccaneers. Rams over the Jaguars. Raiders over the Chargers. Chiefs over the Steelers. We have the Broncos over the Giants. And we have the Tennessee Titans over the Indianapolis Colts. Now, enough of those pick'ems. That's what it is. We're trying to go 13-1 since we had that first L already. And it's been a very tough year in pick'ems right now, just being honest. But things will change. So, people are here for our fantasy talk, my fantasy talk, the Uneducated Sports Talk, fantasy talk. So, we have our startums and our situms. We do QBs, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. If it's your first time seeing this video, let's start off with the quarterbacks now. I will give you all my starters. So, let's start off with, it's a no-brainer with this one, Deshaun Watson. He is starting to become a fantasy lover. So, he's been one of the high percentages of pickups over the last couple weeks now, including myself in 2 of my 3 leagues. He's my starting quarterback, and I got to start him against the Cleveland Browns secondary that's been very porous so far this year. Deshaun Watson in Houston is going to tear up the Cleveland Browns. I got him dominating that. So go get him. Also, Kirk Cousins at home against the 49ers. I think this is Kirk Cousins' coming out party. When I say coming out, I mean yardage and touchdowns. He'll probably throw for about 350, 3 touchdowns. I think it's going to be one of those games, I believe. I'm ready for Kirk Cousins to actually have a really, really big game as a yardage and touchdowns. This is the game. My sit-ems, we got to sit Derek Carr, Sit Derek Carr versus the Chargers. Yes, he is back, and he is the guy of Oklahoma. He's the big, of Oakland. But he is the big money man. But I think in this particular game, I don't know how healthy his back really is. I'm not going to start him. If I have him, I will find somebody else. But he's got to prove it to me. Derek Carr is coming back. They said the diagnosis was 2 to 6 weeks. He only missed 1 week with that that bad back he got. And I'm not trusting that. So if I have Derek Carr, I'm not going to start him. I will sit him down against. Yes, it's against San Diego, but still, I'm not trusting that. And then also, I'm sitting down. Hate to do it to my man Ben Roethlisberger. Sit him down versus the Chiefs. Yes, anything can happen. He has Antonio Brown, but I'm not starting Big Ben. I'm not doing it against that Chiefs defense in Kansas City, Arrowhead Stadium. I believe that Kansas City will get a couple of interceptions, not 5 maybe, but to 2 to 3 mark, and probably hold Pittsburgh down to just about 250 yards total offense. It feels like it's going to be one of those kind of games with that Kansas City front line humming. So let's go ahead and recap that. My quarterbacks are starting Deshaun Watson versus the Browns and Kirk Cousins versus the 49ers, who I'm sitting down, Derek Carr versus the Chargers, and I'm sitting Ben Roethlisberger versus the Chiefs. Also, let's go with the running backs now. So we got a few starters. We got a lot of starters, we're going to start Duke Johnson versus the Texans. Yes, I said Duke Johnson. Isaiah Crowell has been having a horrible season, but Duke, every game has been getting some big play here and there. Regardless, the Browns are always going to be in a losing position, so they're always going to pass. Duke Johnson has been the passing option this year and has made a few big plays now. I think the Texans will be up early against the Browns, and the Browns will be forced to throw the ball out, which means Isaiah Crowell is going to be sitting down once again. I think Duke Johnson gets a lot of the pass catches, especially if you're in the PPR league. PPR league, Duke Johnson has been doing wonders for people, and not a lot of people are actually talking about picking him up, and I will pick him up. I have him in one of my leagues, one of my PPR leagues, but he's sitting down because I already have a lot of people in front of him. But if you don't have anyone and you need someone, Duke Johnson is a good pick against the Texans. Jerick McKinnon versus Green Bay. I like that Jerick McKinnon is showing his pass catching ability as well. Same kind of thing. It can get, I have Minnesota winning this game. But in reality, it could go to flames really, really quick. Green Bay can go out to a 14-0 lead. Jerick McKinnon, you do have Latavius Murray, but Latavius Murray is not, in my opinion, the number 1 guy for the Vikings. I have Jerick McKinnon as that number 1 guy because he can run the ball, and also pass catching ability is key for him as well, especially if you're in a PPR league. More catches, let's go. So Jerick McKinnon is a guy against the Packers, and Packers are a bend but don't break kind of defense. So they're going to bend, but they're going to bend less than you do. That's how they usually get their wins. So I think that Jeremy Kinn's going to have a big day against Green Bay. Marshall Lynch to the Chargers. The Chargers are very porous when it comes out to the run defense. I think you'll see less Derek Carr. You'll see a lot more Marshall Lynch. They will finally. This will be Marshall Lynch's breaking out part, I believe. I think he gets his first 100-yard game of the season against the San Diego Chargers. I believe that. So I will start Marshall Lynch. Marlon Mack versus the Tennessee Titans, a running back for the Indianapolis Colts. He had his breakout game last week, 9 carries, 91 yards, but I think what Coach Pagano said, he would get more carries, more attempts, or he'll be featured more. So the 4th-round rookie is coming in. He had his struggles with injuries the first couple of weeks, but now I think he's somewhat healthy, and he is a game changer every time he has the ball. I think against Tennessee, he will break off 1, maybe 2 big carries in this game because Frank Gore is kind of going down, so he's going to be in place of Frank Gore or get more opportunities than Frank Gore. Sooner or later, I will get Marlon Mack in this game because I think that he is the hot hand for the Indianapolis Colts. Lamar Miller, I will start him as well against the Browns. I said it, and I don't know why I had Lamar Miller in my league, and then I let him go. And the whole time I was saying, when Deshaun Watson, and I was saying when, because I knew it was coming. I didn't know it was coming that soon. I thought maybe about the 5th game he would start. But no, only 2 games in, he's the starter. I thought if Deshaun Watson came in, Lamar Miller carries would go up, and his yards per carry go up as well, because now you have a threat of a running quarterback as Deshaun Watson is. So be prepared for that. Lamar Miller to get more carries, and we already saw that he is part of the passing game as well. And the last couple weeks, I've said it, he's been doing really, really big. So same thing against the Browns, he'll get more carries. I think he gets over 100 yards a game against the Browns, and 4 to 5 catches as well. If you are Mark Ingram or Alvin Kamara fan, start him. If you have him in fantasy, start either of those guys. They're both going to get a lot of touches in this week against the Lions at home. Adrian Peterson is gone now, so there's no more confusion. I think they go with a 2-man back set, and you don't go anything outside of that. You don't trade Adrian Peterson just to bring another rookie in or someone less experienced to be that 3rd guy to run the ball. No, it's all Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. Either or, start them both against the Lions. They'll both have big games, in my opinion. For our sit-ems, sit down Rob Kelly for the Washington Redskins. He came in, he did not look good, his knee is hurting. I think Chris Thompson is the better option. I don't know what Jay Gruden's going with this, but Chris Thompson 2 weeks ago had a hell of a game, and then last week, not only does he kind of get benched for Rob Kelly, but he also gets a little bit benched for P. Ryan as well, and I didn't like that. Chris Thompson's the hot hand. He made a lot of big plays. Continue writing what you got, Jay Gruden. So I will sit down Rob Kelly. I'm sitting down Todd Gurley versus the Jaguars. I think the Jags are going to force, they're going to really, really, really force the quarterback for Jeff Goff, They're going to force Jeff Goff to actually beat him with his passing, throw the ball. They're going to limit Todd Gurley's carries by stuffing the box. And I think the Rams are more pass-oriented anyways than the Jaguars, because while I'm saying, I'm not saying sit down. I'm not saying sit down Leonard Fournette, because regardless there's 9 or 10 guys in the box, the Jaguars are going to keep running that ball regardless, and we know it. Todd Gurley, he doesn't have the luxury of having that kind of mind focus with their offense. They're going to throw the ball if they get a chance. So I think the Jaguars are forced to throw the ball more, and Todd Gurley is going to probably not have a big game. So I will sit out Todd Gurley against the Jaguar defense. I'll sit out Aaron Jones. Yes, he's had a great game and a half so far, his first 2 games playing, but I believe it stops to this week against the Minnesota Vikings. Their front 4 is nasty. Their defense is nasty. They're going to bobble up Aaron Jones. There's rumors that Ty Montgomery is going to play in this game, so it might come down to Aaron Rodgers having to throw the ball out. I think Ty gets a lot of those opportunities, but I don't see Aaron Jones having a big game against the Minnesota Vikings. Maybe the week after that, but against this particular team, no. I'm not an Aaron Jones fan right now. But I do think he will be a good running back for fantasy owners later on this week. Later on this year, So C.J. Anderson versus the Giants. The Giants are going to do this. They're saying, you know what? We're going to stop you guys' run, and we're just going to make you guys pass. Because right now we need all the help we can get. C.J. Anderson is a big threat. I think they're going to shut him down. I will sit down and C.J. Anderson. He's had a great He had a great first few weeks to start the season off, but I think this week in particular, and the last couple weeks he's played in, hasn't had that breakout game again. So I think C.J. Anderson I was shutting down against the Giants. Yes, the Giants are 0-5, but it's not because of their defense. It's because their offense has been all over the freaking place, man. So to recap the running backs, I'm going to start Duke Johnson versus the Texans. Start Jared McKinnon versus the Packers. I will start Marshawn Lynch versus the Chargers. I will start Marlon Mack versus the Tennessee Titans. Start Lamar Miller versus the Browns. And I will start either Mark Ingram or Alvin Kamara against the Detroit Lions. I'm sitting down Rob Kelly of the Washington Redskins. Sit down Todd Gurley versus the Jaguars. I will sit down Aaron Jones versus the Vikings. And I'm sitting down C.J. Anderson versus the Giants. So let's do our wide receivers now, our starters. Look. Wide receiver, I'm starting Tyreek Hill versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think, yes, he had a little hamstring injury, and I heard that he's ready to play, though. I would not be shocked if he goes deep against Pittsburgh and gets like an 80-yarder for a touchdown. This guy is dynamic. He's the most dynamic player in the NFL. I think he goes big in this particular game, and it might only take one. I think he goes for like a 60, 70-yarder touchdown, so Tyreek Hill, I'm a big fan of him in this particular game, in this particular setting. I think he gets a big play somewhere, somehow. Also, Julio Jones is coming back, but I'm not starting him. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're going to start him regardless because, you never know. It's the Julio Jones factor. But from what I know over the last year or 2 years, when he's in there and if he's really on top of his A game, when he's healthy, he's a beast. But when he's injured, he's kind of iffy. Sometimes he's a decoy, sometimes not. I think he's a decoy in this game. That's why I'm saying start Tyler Gabriel. I'm starting Gabriel really, really quick. I think in this particular game at home against the Dolphins, I think he gets about a touchdown or two. I think this is the kind of game for Gabriel to go off against the Dolphins. So I will start Gabriel for the Atlanta Falcons. Also, start Mike Wallace versus the Bears. I think Mike Wallace has been finding his groove. Joe Flacco and Mike Wallace have had this connection. Flacco throws it deep. Mike Wallace loves catching the deep ball. So I think Mike Wallace has another big game against the Chicago Bears in this particular week. I will start Mike Wallace. And then Keenan Allen versus the Raiders. The Raiders' secondary has been very porous this year so far. And Keenan Allen, after not having a big game last week, I think he has a big game this week. He comes back and he gets I'm going to go ahead and say he gets about 2 touchdowns this week. Keenan Allen is the best receiver on the Chargers, and they're going to look to exploit this Oakland Raiders defense, is secondary. It's not so much the front four, it's the secondary. The secondary has been having problems as of this year so far. Also, who I'm sitting out, T.Y. Hilton versus the Titans. I'm just saying this, when T.Y. is on the road, he's a no-show. When he's at home, he's catching everything. I think in this particular game, the Titans play great defense. T.Y. Hilton's on the road. I'm not starting T.I. What? I'm thinking about the rapper T.I. T.Y. I'm not starting T.Y. at all. Also, Chris Hogan has been very big the last couple of days. Last couple of games. He's been a big pickup for fantasy owners. But I think this week, the Jets focusing on Chris Hogan. I think he gets shut down. So if I have Chris Hogan, I'm not starting him. I would start somebody else. I think they focus. Now, look, now, you do what you want, because Tom Brady is going to find the open guy. But I think in this particular game, Chris Hogan and pretty much all the receivers are going to kind of get bottled down a little bit. I think it'll be a tough game for Tom Brady to get into a groove. And he's been having those games all year so far, where it's kind of, except for the Saints, obviously, against my team. But he's been having a tough time finding his groove with this receiving core. I think Chris Hogan is going to be the odd man out in this particular game because the Jets will key a lot more on him. And then Golden Tate versus the Saints. Yes, I said it. Some defender, some offensive player versus the Saints. I'm sitting down. So I'm sitting down Golden Tate versus Saints, and here's why. Quietly, Marshawn Lattimore is looking like a number 1 cornerback, a shutdown cornerback. I've seen all the games he's played in the 4 games. He's played in 3. And in 3 of those games, he has shut down every person that's been in his way. Shut him down. I like Marshawn Lattimore. I really, really do. And I think he's going to be the one on Golden Tate, and I think he will shut Golden Tate down. I'm not starting Golden Tate at all. I will sit him down. So for recap, starters, for wide receivers, I have Tyreek Hill versus the Steelers, Tyler Gabriel versus the Dolphins. I have Mike Wallace versus the Bears. I have Keenan Allen versus the Raiders. And who I'm sitting down T.Y. Hilton versus Tennessee Titans. I'm sitting down Chris Hogan versus the Jets. And I'm sitting down Golden Tate versus the Saints. Yes, versus the Saints. Kind of weird, right? And then my tight ends, here we go. We're going to start Zach Miller versus the Ravens. Now we saw that him and Mr. Trubisky have had a connection. I think he got almost like 8 or 9 looks from Trubisky. If you're Zach Miller, you like that. If you're a Zach Miller owner, you want that. He also had a touchdown last week. Maybe not a touchdown this week because tight ends are very iffy with a touchdown department. What you want, especially in the PPR league, you want catches, receptions with the yardage. So I think Zach Miller is going to have a big game against the Ravens because Mitchell's not going to really find anybody else on the outside, I can tell you that. So they're going to focus more with Zach Miller. I think he has a big game this week. Also, I'm starting David Njoku versus the Texans. Yes, the tight end from Miami, the U. You know what I'm saying? The U. Am I doing that right? Yeah, U. Oh, is it that? Nah, it's that. U. Anyways, it's late. Sorry. David Njoku, he is going to be the guy for the Cleveland Browns. I don't know who started, whether it's going to be Hogan or Deshaun Kaiser, but they got to look for him, and I think they will. They're going to be down a lot, so they're going to throw the ball a lot, and he is a mismatch. We saw he had a touchdown last week from Chris Hogan. I think he'll do the same thing. Not Chris Hogan. I think his name is Chris Hogan. Kelly Hogan, something like that. Some Hogan guy is the starter, maybe, for the Cleveland Browns. And I think that they're going to go on a connection. And like I said, it's more about catches, especially for the PPR league. It's more about catches and then the yardage as well. I think David Njoku has a big game against the Texans. Fantasy owners, pick him up if you haven't already. And Coby Fleener versus the Detroit Lions. I'm starting him, not because who he is, but because of what Detroit is. Detroit has had major problems against the tight ends this year. And I think this will be another one. I think Coby Fleener finds a way to get a few touchdowns, maybe a touchdown or 2 from Coby Fleener. So be on the lookout if you're a Saints fan for Coby Fleener. If you're a fantasy guy, Coby Fleener will have a touchdown against the Detroit Lions. I'm kind of banking on it. Detroit has had all sorts of problems against the tight ends, and the Saints know that. And who I'm sitting down, yes, Evan Ingram, I'm sitting down. He's so far, he's been a no-show this season, and he had high hopes as a passing, catching tight end for Eli Manning. But people are saying, well, what do you mean that was started? Because he's got Brandon Marshall out. He's got Odell Beckham, so he'll be featured more. No. Right now in this system, in this kind of weird system the Giants are running, they're not even looking for Evan Ingram anymore. It's kind of weird. I mean, he might get 2 or 3 catches, but it won't go deep. And clearly, he is going to be one of the studs, so they're going to stop him. Teams are going to actually focus on Evan Ingram now. And when they weren't focusing on him the last couple of weeks, he wasn't doing anything. So just imagine when they actually focus on Evan Ingram now, he's going to have a hard time getting the ball. I will sit him down against the Broncos. And the Broncos defense. I forgot. Excuse me. The Broncos defense is just nasty all across the board. They're going to shut him down. Also, yes, another kind of weird one. Rob Gronkowski. I'm sitting him down. Whether he's healthy or not against the Jets, I think the Jets key on him. They're going to force Tom Brady to go out there to Brandon Cooks and go out there to Amendola, those kind of things. But I think they're going to double team Rob Gronkowski and the Jets for some reason, regardless who's the head coach of them, they always play the Patriots tough. Anyways, the Jets are 3-2. Both teams are actually 3-2, so they're both looking to do some damage. The winner is going to be in first place in the AFC East, so it's going to be tighter than what you think. But I think they shut down Robert Gronkowski, and with his injury, I just don't know what's going to happen this week. He is going to play, but I'm sitting him out if you have him. And now, if you don't have another option, I mean, obviously start Robert Gronkowski if you don't have an option. I'm just saying, if you have multiple options in a bigger league, if you got Robert Gronkowski or somebody else, I would probably go to somebody else just for this one particular week. And also, Josh Reed, he has been a no-show in fantasy all year. This year, this will not be a different case. I think Vernon Davis actually gets the majority. They're playing against Vernon Davis' old team, the San Francisco 49ers. So that's why I'm thinking that Vernon Davis gets a lot more of the looks. He has actually done very well this season for the Washington Redskins. I think Josh Reed has been injury prone after injury prone after injury prone, and thank God they had a bye week to where he got to rest extra. But I still don't know what is he doing, because he's been playing hurt all year. He needs to probably just sit down and ask for, hey, check please, I need to go ahead and get this surgery or something, because Josh Reed has been struggling for fantasy owners as well. I've had him in one of my fantasies, but I haven't even started. He's on my bench all year. I'm just waiting for him to kind of break out so I can finally start him. But we'll see what happens, man. So, recap for the tight ends. I'm going to start Zach Miller versus the Ravens. Start David Njoku versus the Texans. I'm starting Kobe Fleener versus the Lions. I'm going to sit down Evan Ingram versus the Broncos. I'm sitting down Robert Gronkowski for the Jets versus the Jets. And I'm sitting down Josh Reed versus San Francisco 49ers, man. So, if you guys have any comments below, please let me know who are your fantasy people are going to be, who are your starters, who are your sit-ems. Ask me any question about who should you start or sit down. I will gladly respond to everyone's questions as well, man. So please like, subscribe to Uneducated Network, to where you see my show, Uneducated Sports Talk, and many, many other shows. So if you like what you heard, next episode, we're going to talk a little bit about baseball. Season of playoffs are getting hotter and hotter for MLB, and we'll talk a little basketball as well. So it's right around the corner. The season starts on Thursday, October 17th, so be ready for that. Or is it Wednesday, October 17th? It's one of those days. I don't really know. But regardless, it's Uneducated Network, presenting Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton. As always, sports fans, you know what it is. Stay smart, stay uneducated. Peace.